Good morning, everyone. This is Lalit here. I head the solution delivery in Mindgate. Today, I'm going to talk about Yugabyte and how it has powered Mindgate Solutions in its UPI journey. So, good morning, everyone, once again. So, today, as you know, all you know, UPI has been one of the uh, key payment systems in India. It has been a real jewel in the Indian payment ecosystem. It was launched somewhere around 2016. And the journey for UPI has been interesting. When it started off as a very small payment system, which was supposed to be a subset for IMPS. But over the years, it has grown and it has now become one of the biggest retail payment systems in India, with roughly around more than 18 billion transactions happening a month. And Mindgate has been at the forefront of this digital revolution in India, where we process almost more than 50% of transactions, that is closer to around 9 billion transactions. And Yugabyte plays a very essential role in this because Yugabyte has enabled Mindgate to actually be part of this ever-going expanding journey in UPI. And it has helped us basically maintain our edge as a number one TSP provider in the UPI ecosystem. In fact, we have been just awarded 15 days back the leading by the DSS under Finance Minister of India as the leading TSP provider for the UPI platform. So the Yugabyte has really enabled us in terms of journeys across UPI. So just to give you a kind of a broad understanding, where does Yugabyte help us in this? Today we process almost close to around 9 billion transactions with 1 trillion value, which is their annualized. Almost we do 10 million merchants are powered on our platform. Also, one of the important things is that because we have a vision to make this as a 1 billion transaction uh, to be processed across a day, that's the end goal for UPI in terms of the way it is going across. I think in next 2 years, we will be achieving that target, 2 to 3 years, I believe, 18 to 24 months. So, one of the important things is that the system should be scalable enough to do around 20,000 TPS. So we have been able to do that with the help of Yugabyte and in-memory processing that we have. So that is also one of the important journeys that we have tried to cover through Yugabyte. I think one of the things that we wanted to highlight is that how UPI has enabled our journey, because earlier when we were onto our legacy platform, we had multiple challenges on the legacy databases. The problems primarily were on the IO side, because as and when the UPI rails was expanding, it is very important that the database itself is able to scale out. And what we were finding is that as the legacy databases require more IO, we were encountering a lot of challenges in terms of throughput. And that's where we realized that legacy database will no longer be able to support the UPI journey. So we embarked on this journey with Yugabyte almost 18 months back. And I think Mindgate has been able to scale the growing volumes and ensure high availability for critical systems like UPI by ensuring resilience and also the throughput which is required for processing of the transaction. So today I'm going to talk more from a perspective of how this journey has been enabled. What is the benefit that our clients have got, whether it is in terms of faster payment processing that enables the scale, not only the scale, but also ensures that the transactions happen faster than ever before on UPI. So I think our UX experience on the PSP side, typically people use phone pays or the Paytms of the world. Mindgate as a backend platform enables those journey on the bank side, and I think Yugabyte has played a very crucial role in that. So, as we talked about, I think what were the key challenges from a legacy databases perspective? One of the things that we talked about was in terms of high IO requirements. Followed by this, there were also like, we wanted to have a database which is able to do a cross-site replication without any issues. So, I think that is also one of the key challenges that we had. Similarly, we had a long RTO, RPO in terms of disaster recovery. So we had long times in terms of DR, in terms of legacy databases where sync used to happen and we need to have a cutoff. So I think our RPOs were also on the higher side with legacy databases. And manual interventions typically was required for doing our backups, archivals, retrieval. So I think these were the key KPIs in terms of, when we made our decision to move to a database which is cloud ready database and kind of addresses these key challenges which we have from our legacy databases. So when we so when we went on to Yugabyte, so we wanted to have a hyper scalability, enhance performance in terms of response times that we were able to achieve. I think one of the I cannot stress more the resilience of the system in terms of because UPI typically has cycles wherein when people kind of there are particular hours which are peak hours during which you have the surge of transactions coming in, and you have hours in the night where there is a significant drop in number of transactions. So resilience of the database was very important, and I think Yugabyte has helped us to address those issues, whenever we have those high volumes of transaction coming in terms of surge of transactions, it is able to effectively handle those surges without any issues. Typically, also you would have, as you would have noticed, you have sale days in India in terms of Amazon, digital sales that happen on the Amazon and Flipkart platform. There also resiliency Yugabyte is able to handle effectively. I think so that has helped us a lot. And also one of the important thing is that when you choose any platform, you should also be very mindful of the fact that you may have to migrate the existing data from your existing legacy databases. So that journey has to have less friction and it should be made smooth. So I think those were also one of the key other factors that went into when we evaluated Yugabyte and chose it for our platform. So, right now on this slide, I want to take you through the journey wherein whatever improvements that we kind of evaluated, where we put into practice. So, this is our leading implementation journey that we did for one of the private banks in India, and it has recently gone live. I think the key things that we kind of achieved by doing this implementation was uh, so in terms of basically legacy databases, typically RTO which was of 30 to 60 minutes. Now with Yugabyte, we are able to achieve this because it's on an active setup. So there is practically zero downtime in terms of having an RTO from a database perspective. But we are able to bring it down to closer to around 10 minutes. These are related only to from an application perspective and kind of redirection of traffic. But from a database perspective, we are on an active setup. So that kind of addresses that issue. Similarly, we had challenges in terms of data migration. So data migration, this whole journey, we had a very large data set from data migration. I think Yugabyte helped us out in this journey in terms of bringing on table various tool sets by which we were not only able to extract the data, but extrapolate this data into our, so we were having this application hosted on our earlier platform, which was on 5.0, which we migrated to 6.0. So not only are we able to migrate the data, but also at the runtime during migration, if there are any changes in terms of data columns or any restrictions, Yugabyte is able to effectively handle that also. So I am able to migrate my data from my earlier legacy databases to Yugabyte. So I think that has been also very helpful. And also these tool sets also enable us to migrate this data in a lot of, I would say, in a faster manner, because if you would have we didn't have this tool set, we'll have to write some Java programs, which would have taken large times and which would have required optimization at a code level. Whereas with these tools which Yugabyte provides, that helps us to do this journey seamlessly. So data migration has been a breeze and it has been really, I would say, a shot in the arm in terms of doing the migration, or migration times which otherwise would have taken, roughly around 1.5 to 1.75 times. They have been reduced greatly by using the tool sets that have been provided by Yugabyte. Other things I would say is the performance bottleneck. So I think from an IO perspective, we have seen that almost response time of Yugabyte has reduced as compared to legacy drivers. We have seen almost close to around 30-35% improvement in terms of the kind of volumes that we are seeing. So throughput improvements also we have seen closer to around 30%. High availability, I've already told. So basically, because it's an active to setup for us, it's a three-side architecture. So we have been able to have basically high availability for the client, which was one of the key things that client wanted, because with the upgrade platform, we had promised them that we'll provide that. And Yugabyte being a cloud-ready database on our cloud-hosted platform, it has been able to easily do that. Resiliency is one of the vital factors. I think what I talked about earlier was in terms of handling the search. Other thing also has been in terms of ensuring that anytime we have any application or any uh, issues in terms of downstream or upstream systems, that time also we are able to recover faster, because we don't have any dependencies on database to have a recovery. In legacy database, we have a lot of open sessions and closed session management that we had to do. But on Yugabyte, that has been a seamless process for us. I think that is also engineering at Yugabyte level has helped us to have a better resiliency on the database side as well. This just basically, I mean, this slide just explains how we have been able to do this, because we have the cluster spread across two regions, and how the basically availability side zone. So this slide explains the same, which is there. I think from these are the basically X cluster deployment across our clients, which we have been able to do that. And bi-directional, we are using it in these three banks. So I think this is the kind of resiliency that we have over here. So, I mean, this is just, I mean, summarizing basically, by moving across to Yugabyte, we have been able to deliver the scale and enable the active to setup required for critical application like UPI. I think another thing is that while we talk about key challenges that we have helped overcome our client, also, I want to elaborate more on a perspective, how Yugabyte has helped in terms of real use cases for our clients. So one is we talk about the technical aspects in terms of Yugabyte helping us solve for reliability, scalability, resiliency, IIO, but also how does it relate from my client's perspective. So if you look at it, UPI as a use case that we talked about from a real-time payment perspective, because with this we are ready for our vision in terms of achieving $1 billion transactions daily volumes, which is there. Second is also we had a lot of challenges in terms of analytics. So I think Yugabyte as a Cassandra implement. So early, for UPI perspective, we have a Postgres as an implementation, because we need to have best of both the worlds in terms of uh, getting advantage of RDBMS database setup, which is provided by Postgres implementation. But we also wanted to take advantage of NoSQL setup, because there are not going to be any writes from an MIS perspective. So it is going to be more from a perspective of pulling out reports, timely availability of data. I think analytics has also helped us a lot in terms of Yugabyte. So this has been real boon for us, because earlier we used to do a lot of ETL activities on our traditional databases before we get analytics. Now with the implementation of uh, Cassandra as an implementation for UPI, we have been able to effectively give a real-time analytics for our clients, and also from client perspective, where whenever client is onboarding merchants, because merchants also require real-time reports for them. I think we have been able to effectively give across that also. So that has been a real world use case for us, where Yugabyte has helped us. And third and importantly is the new rail which has come from CBDC, which is our central bank digital currency. There also Yugabyte as a platform has been the go-to platform. In fact, uh, all the implementations across have mostly been on Yugabyte, which is there. So I think that is one, because I mean we had a advantage in terms of this is a new rail that we came, and because we have tested Yugabyte already onto UPI, so it helped us in our journey for implementation of CBDC. So that has been a successful rollout. So these are three real world examples where Yugabyte has helped us across, and these are very strong use cases which Yugabyte has helped us implement, and actually be made us be the leader onto both the platforms which is there. I think this slide and the last slide which I want to present across is also our learnings. I think we talked a lot about in terms of how Yugabyte has helped us, but I'm sure that during this journey, not only has Yugabyte supported us, but also it has helped us develop our keys skill set who are required that are required to manage Yugabyte as a database. So there have been a lot of learnings in terms of Yugabyte implementation. I'll just summarize the four key learnings that we had. One is, I mean, application architecture. So, I mean, uh, when we developed our UPI application, which was there on our earlier platforms, I think as it was an IO intensive application which was there, with Yugabyte, when we migrated across to Yugabyte, I think Yugabyte architecture team also helped us to in terms of, uh, kind of efficiently uh, restructuring or re-architecting your application, which we had to refactor in terms of effective rights, which has helped us in our performance, which is there. So I think it is very important that whenever you want to use a cloud ready databases, you kind of need to also vet your architecture in terms of, effectively use the power which Yugabyte brings across. So it's not like lift and shift across from a legacy to Yugabyte. But I would say refactoring is around 10 to 15%, but that 10 to 15% is very crucial in terms of getting the maximum power out of Yugabyte. Second is proactive database upgrades. I think this is also important because in legacy databases, typically what would happen is that you are onto a platform like a 12C or a 19C, and then you historically are there for around 4 years, 5 years, 6 years on that, and you are doing only minor incremental upgrades. But with cloud-ready databases, what happens is that as an ecosystem, there are a lot of learnings coming across in the ecosystem. So that we need to adopt quicker and faster. So you need to have a effective strategy. How do you manage upgrades? Because upgrades come with their own set of challenges. So it's very important to have a very clear strategy. We have worked very closely with Yugabyte team to have a clear strategy on how to implement upgrades across. And this is very important because you cannot live on a traditional on an n+2, n-2 or an n-1 strategy. You have to be effective in terms of having a proper strategy where if an update is required, it has to be implemented, and that roadmap should be very clear in terms of how you're going to implement it for your clients. Third is robust J2 operations. I think that is one of the crucial thing because Yugabyte may help you in terms of implementing and you are getting benefits, but how do you ensure that effectively that benefit is extended on a J2 operations? Because a lot of activities which were associated with a legacy database, those there are refactoring and changes in terms of how Yugabyte manages them. So it is very important that we have effective SOPs and effective, I would say, uh, ongoing learning and upskilling of your existing teams who work effectively under, I would say, training with Yugabyte teams so that day-to operations are smooth and we are able to ensure that there are no disruptions for a client because of any issues on the ops side of it. So this is also a very important factor and this has been the key learning for us. And lastly, I would say across is continuous skill development. So continuous skill development is part and parcel. So what happens is because Yugabyte brings across both flavors in terms of NoSQL, of Cassandra as well as RDBMS. It's important that your development team is also upskilling itself in terms of revised architecture from a database perspective. How do we write our queries? How do we optimize for effective writes and reduce more stress on the select queries which are there. We kind of, just to give an example, we had a lot of dependencies on bulk operations. So I think what we realized is that bulk operations we cannot effectively manage on Yugabyte. So that helped us. We had we re-architected our solution and kind of got a way around to that. So I think these are the important learnings that we had. So which we have done. And besides this, there are a lot of others like NFR requirements also, which are more from a perspective of understanding the hygiene factor in terms of installation, dashboards, management, how are we scaling out. So those in terms of response times and also ensuring when to have an active or active passive setup. So those are also effective measurements in terms of ensuring that you have key learnings in terms of how you implemented Yugabyte for your client. So just to add, so besides from an NFR perspective, I think we need to be mindful of other factors such as whether it's an active setup for your client or an active passive for your setup for your client, including management dashboards, how they will come across, monitoring other aspects, response time. So these NFR metrics also we need to be mindful of. So I think that's it from my side. Thanks for your time. Thank you.